Hey everyone, welcome to Comic Artist Pro Secrets. I'm Ethan Van Sciver, your host and DC Comics artist for a long time. Hey, today we're going to do commentary on a book that sold a lot of copies that I drew and Geoff Johns wrote. It's called Green Lantern Rebirth #1. And I remember this book quite fondly. This came directly after I finished Batman and Catwoman Trail of a Gun #2. And was very excited about getting off of that and jumping right onto this. This is the first issue, so let's go. Let me show you what this is about. Now, just on the cover, at the time, Hal Jordan was dead and was trapped inside the Spectre. He became the Spectre, but he didn't want to be the Spectre anymore. And something was telling him that he needed to come back to life. So they asked me to do this cover, and this is I don't know. It's okay. The thing that made everyone very, very happy about this cover when I turned it in was this right here. The reflection of Parallax, evil Hal Jordan, in the power battery, upside down. Everybody thought that was really, really cool. And I did too. Colors on the cover. I mean, this is the thing about it. You want just green, green, green. Everything's saturated with green. It's really, really terrific. All right, so jumping right in. I remember catching a lot of heat for this right here. This satellite, which I just referenced off of the internet, had been down. It came down like decades ago. I didn't know that. I didn't care. I just drew a satellite in the sky because the important thing was just to show this gigantic, cool spacecraft entering our atmosphere. So this is Earth's atmosphere. That's funny. Oh yeah, I mean everything was just innovation all the time. Working with Geoff Johns was a lot of fun. He was quick to praise you. He was quick to give you ideas or to validate the ideas that you had, and kind of like I always thought he was like the captain of the football team. He was just somebody that people who worked with him would rally behind, and they'd want to put forth their best effort. So we've got these two boys who are hopping this fence that they shouldn't be hopping. And then I do something like this, where the spacecraft that we saw earlier was emerging out of the sun, and there was a booming sound effect, and I made the sun and the little silhouette of the spacecraft coming in part of the sound effect. And that turned everyone on too. They thought that was pretty cool. And it's all done with, speed lines and everything. So pretty cool. And gigantic spacecraft kind of crashing down here on Earth. I didn't want to draw a spaceship like any other spaceship that you'd seen. I wanted to draw kind of a very alien spacecraft that almost looked old-fashioned, with these kind of this dress on it, and certainly it's built a little bit like something that you would see here on Earth with just the stabilizing fins and things like that. And here's the big moment. Yeah, and this, I mean, colored by Moose Bauman. This is just absolutely unreal. He did a great, great job. The return of Kyle Rayner. He's bleeding from his nose. A lot of just, a lot of little tiny. If you look really close at this, like this is insanity. I really don't know why. I felt the need to add this texture in here, but I was really trying my my hardest. Everything, I didn't know the characters very well, so I remember buying the Jim Lee toy, the action figure of this character, of this costume, so that I could see the costume and all the way around. I knew how it worked, and that costume came, fortunately, that little action figure came with this power battery, so that made life a lot easier. And again, that's a good tip for comic book artists. If you can, buy the action figure of the character that you're going to draw, because you can see the costume, especially if you're not familiar with the costume. See the costume from 360 degrees. It's really helpful. Oh yeah, Geoff said, hey, we need the coffin that Hal Jordan's body is in, and I don't know, make it look like it would be Hal Jordan's coffin. And so here it is with the Parallax dress. And Kyle he's passes out next to it. I mean, you just see this coffin, and back then you would just get goosebumps and shivers because you remember Parallax and you remember Hal and you miss Hal. This coffin is scary and hopeful at the same time. and of course there's just a ring of green fire around it. I was using a lot of just symbolism. I would use rings, like just circles, and everywhere that I possibly could, just to kind of evoke that sense of Green Lantern. And that's I think this book is fairly evocative in a lot of different ways. Here we we see Carol Ferris for the first time, looking pretty cute. I like her scarf. I think this was the first page that I did in one single day. All the other pages took 2 days. I remember, just drawing her face here and just giving her this really nice kind of, she's got good eyebrow game. She's a little bit exotic looking, but very, very lovely, very, very small, very like, she could be Star Sapphire. And again, she sees Hal Jordan's old plane. She misses Hal, and she rubs her hand along, wipes off the dirt and the debris, and in very feminine lettering, it says H. Jordan. And that was a very conscientious decision, rather than to do just like block lettering. I just thought it would be cool to have it be kind of like, it's almost like her thought. It's a feminine thought. She's thinking about Hal. A lot of thought went into this. Oh my God, Geoff wanted me to draw Giant Stadium. So I think all I did here was I traced it. I think I found a photograph of Giant Stadium, and I blew it up on a Xerox as big as I could get it, and then light boxed it, because I didn't know how to go about. I was still kind of a young artist. I didn't know how to go about drawing Giant Stadium in the traditional way with a perspective grid. It just would have been way too much work, and I don't know. I'm not sure of any other way to do it other than to just get a photograph of it and copy it or trace it. And you can see, when you see, when you see this where the blacks are laid down, and then there's a certain look that comes about when somebody has light boxed something. And this is still a pretty good job, and I like the way Moose Bauman, who colored this, kind of pushed it back into the background so that it looks like it's in the distance and it's big. You've got John Stewart zooming in here with Guy Gardner, who's still in his warrior gear, which we brought back recently in an issue of Hal Jordan and the Green Lantern Corps. And again, look, they land in the parking lot. So let's just go find a photograph of the parking lot, kind of a bland photograph of the parking lot, and then print it out, light box it for a background, and then just add them in. I wanted to make this world as real as possible. And these are just two guys who are inhabiting it. Here's our first look at John Stewart, who's, a little weathered, but he's extremely handsome. I like the way he dresses. Very classy gentleman. But he's going to a baseball game with this jackass. And what do they have in common? They both belong to the same corps. So they would go to a baseball game together, and John would put up with him, and they're friends, but he's a loudmouth. Guy Gardner's a loudmouth. This is a really sad thing that got covered up by word balloons, because Guy Gardner is very much lying about how he doesn't miss being a Green Lantern at all. He's hanging out with his buddy John, but he doesn't want to be a Green Lantern. And as John Stewart is walking by, inside the stadium, he passes by a sign that says "Support your team." And that got covered by a word balloon, but he's, clearly he would have just seen that, and that would be in his head right now, thinking about being supportive of being a Green Lantern, being supportive of this man right here. His loyalty is right in his heart, loyalty and his duty to the Corps. This is a good shot here. I'm happy with this. We've all gone up this ramp and found our seats, and just the darkness. As Guy Gardner is lit up here, and he's telling him that he stopped trusting his own heart, and he needs to trust himself a little bit more. He says, and now all you think about is how things work instead of why things work. Food for thought. But John tells him to shut up. And then we get to see, this was fun. He becomes warrior. He uses his powers. And Geoff said, make him grotesque. You know, this is on its way out. We want to suggest that this isn't cool anymore. We don't want to see Guy Gardner like this, all muscular with tattoo paint all over him. Like that's old. It's done, and it's not cool. Even though maybe it was cool, it's not cool. We're moving forward. We're trying to sell an idea here. Let's sit down at the game. And here he is, our friend Hal Jordan. And this is a very early take on Hal Jordan by me. And he's a ghost. He's a ghost here, really. He's the Spectre kind of taking human form a little bit. But my idea was, look, this is Hal Jordan. Look at his smile. He's everybody's buddy. He's our friend, and we missed him. They have front row seats. Hal's going to join them. And it's great to see his smile. Handshakes all around. I love this face right here. You know, Hal misses it. He misses being human. He misses going to the baseball games, and you could just see it in his eyes. He's a good man, and we miss him too. And suddenly, all these people start coming and kneeling before him. This was a weird thing right here. I don't know why I did this. I guess I was reading about Marilyn Monroe at the time. That is supposed to be Marilyn Monroe, and that's Joe DiMaggio, and he's talking about cheating on his wife. And she's looking at him like, what the? They made me change her hair, obviously, and then they colored it redhead, they made her a redhead because they didn't want to actually show Marilyn Monroe's likeness there. But that still kind of looks like Joe DiMaggio to me. I don't know. This panel took forever, obviously. Here's just a sea of people, and again, this is more of my Alfred Hitchcock influence. This is kind of like a scene from Strangers on a Train, where everyone in the tennis match is turning their head and following the ball back and forth, except for one man who's right in the center, and he's looking dead at us, and that's a really neat effect. Well, in this here, we have just one single man, and everyone is turning towards him and reaching for him, and it's almost like this kind of explosion effect of humanity, and he can't do it. He's got to leave. He's got to split. Here's a stat, by the way. We talked about stats earlier. I think the only thing I drew in this panel was this chair, this empty chair, and I just asked that this all get pasted in. This was not something that I'd want to copy over again and draw, again, and there's no reason to do it. I mean, a stat, even though it might seem like cheating to an amateur artist or a reader who doesn't really understand, this would be a pointless waste of time, and really all you're trying to do is just emphasize like either a static kind of scene or that only one little thing has changed between these two panels. And if you tried to redraw this over again, any differences just that would happen because you're redrawing something would really kind of be alarming, and they would kill the effect. So that's what stats do. Oh, here we see Speedy. Her name was Mia, and Green Arrow. Boy, was this fun to draw. I didn't, these characters were new to me. I'd never really drawn them before. And again, this is the classic Green Arrow. I love the hat. Boom, explosion. And then Geoff said, I want you to draw this loser, Black Hand. And Black Hand was a loser. Look at the triangle he's got on his chest right now. It was later to become a Black Lantern symbol right there and on his head. And I just made him, I thought, well, talking to Geoff, all these villains have to be dirtbags. I don't like these low-tier villains who look very heroic and muscular and powerful. I mean, this guy, he looks like he's got a drug problem, and he's just he's a piece of garbage, you can tell, and he's trying to find that ring. Boom, just blow the doorknob off. I think I was looking at a lot of Phil Hester's Green Arrow at the time. He was the artist on Green Arrow, and so I had to look at the way he drew this basement area. It was from his Green Arrow series with, was it Kevin Smith? I don't remember. Down. Rags Morales liked that panel. He called me up about that. Boom, arrow right through the hand. Here we go. Here are our heroes. They're not playing around. Drop that ring. And then our guy comes. Now this was fun. Hal Jordan shows up. He's lit up next to these dummy mannequins. That was a deliberate idea to just make him look spooky. Is he real? These mannequins aren't real. Is Hal real? Green Arrow doesn't know. And as he steps forward, we start to see over his head, what is this? We come to realize what this is later, but it was a brand new symbol back then. And then he goes photo negative. And I actually did draw this by hand. I figured out what the photo negative would be, and this is just hand-drawn ink of his face. And it looks pretty damn cool as he becomes the Spectre. Remember this show? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Here's the Spectre and the skewed perspective here. It's like, whoa, what the hell? And the arrow really big in the foreground through his hand. That perspective is impossible. This is like a weird kind of 3-point perspective, but turned on its side. And I think it gave a nice dizzying effect here that I was going for. Green Arrow doesn't know what to do. And again, this Geoff loved this. He said, oh my God, the smile here, and then the skeletal little smile underneath here, that's parallax. That's not Hal, that's not Spectre, that's parallax. I mean, this is three people in one body here. I love his hand disintegrating. You see the little bones. That kind of gore, that kind of stuff is really fun for me to draw as an artist. Just in a pile that used to be his hand. He's on the ground screaming. Yeah, and then suddenly, what? Who, me? And he's out of there. Yeah, and now we got to just deal with a howling, insane black hand. And the ring. Here we go, more crazy symbolism. Warrior's Bar, which was the establishment that, Guy Gardner owned. Of course, the stoplight is flashing green. Things are changing, and above the Warrior's Bar are clouds swirling in a shape almost like black birds or vultures. This bar is doomed. This is the circle of death right here. This is on its way out, and in fact, here's a skull to re-emphasize that. This is coming to an end. This is the past, but not only that, in a kind of creepy way, this is what's bringing on the change here. And we don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. Or we didn't then. Now we know it's a great thing. Guy tended to have big, gigantic statues of all his friends right on the bar. That's very strange. But the seats are power batteries. Again, it's blasphemous almost. It's like, Guy, you're so tacky. Discussing the old times. Yeah. Guy is starting to lose his warrior powers, or they're going out of control. They're going haywire. Boom. Warrior's Bar goes bye-bye, just as I predicted. I told you it would, and it did. Yeah, Coast City shows back up. It was destroyed before, and all of a sudden it reappears, but there's nothing there. It's just as if it's a city that's about to be built. It's reemerged, it's plotted out, but there are no buildings there. And these pilots don't even know what to think. And here's our buddy Hector Hammond. That's not a very good drawing of him. I wasn't sure what I was doing with him yet. Now I do. And back when the JLA base used to be on the moon, Howard Porter used to draw it, Brian Hitch used to draw it. There was plenty of great reference for this thing. I mean, just brilliantly designed. I loved drawing this. And Guy Gardner is spinning out with his warrior powers. Again, more fun, more gore, more creepiness for me to draw. And awesome that I get to do Martian Manhunter, I get to do Dr. Midnight. These guys should know everything. And then right in the corner, we have the dark black shape of the skeptic of Green Lantern Rebirth. This is Batman. And Batman, well, he knows something bad is going to happen. We see Batman again in Dr. Midnight's eyes. And again, back here, he's this is all BS to him. He doesn't like any of this. Finally an easy panel to draw, but still that looks good. Wonder Woman, beautiful Wonder Woman, beautiful Power Girl, cleaning up the mess. The one statue that is still standing, here's our Hal Jordan. And again, this is more things that, Geoff Johns called me up like, you are so good. I love getting patted on the back by Geoff Johns. It's the kind of thing, writers, if you're working with an artist, man, be supportive, and it'll make them want to work harder. Like, I would do this. Here's Alan Scott. He's very upset about Hal Jordan, and he spins his ring around. He's almost spilling out green energy as though he were spilling out a drink, and that green energy just becomes a little symbol of a Green Lantern symbol, that they're standing in a burning Green Lantern symbol. And of course, Warrior's Bar has broken. Now it just says war. It's war. War is coming, and it is. As the Flash, Wally West Flash, not Barry Allen yet, Zooms up to find Aquaman. And there's, oh my God, that's Hal Jordan's old apartment building, and the lights are on. But only Hal Jordan's light is on. That's weird. That is weird. Yeah, Batman works that out. Again, Batman, just a black shape. Just a black shape here. We just want a silhouette. Batman is a mood. He's an attitude here. He's not Bruce Wayne, as you can see. You know, here he is confronting. He's working things out. And he says, I don't think Hal Jordan ever changed John. He's still mad. He's still got a problem. He's still got a beef. And we have John Stewart. He's saying John to Martian Manhunter. John Stewart just sitting here listening to Batman snarl. And as you can see, the silhouettes of his teeth look like they're about to eat John Stewart's head. Like, that's how John feels about this. He feels so strongly. He supports his team, remember? Feels so strongly about all this that he just says, enough. And what does he do? He lights up his ring. What? He's like, I'm tired of you. I'm tired of this nonsense. And this is what Green Lanterns do. They light up black shadows. They are light in the darkness. And suddenly he lights Batman up. He's no longer a silhouette. He's a man. He's just a person. He's like, who are you to be saying stuff like this about a great hero like Hal? You don't know. You don't know what happened. And suddenly we see Batman for what he is. He's a human being dressed in a sheet. Hal was the man without fear. Look at him confronting Batman, and Batman doesn't even know what to do. Could Batman take John Stewart in a fight? Maybe, maybe not. And I think we see that here. So shush. Yeah, here we go. Face facts, John. The real Hal Jordan is back, and he's bringing the past with him. We see Superman's fist down here. This is war. And Carol is remembering the old times when suddenly the broken down airfield becomes clean and fresh and new, including Hal Jordan's jet in primo mint condition. And we end the issue with a spooky shot of Hal Jordan in his bomber jacket saying, hello, Carol, in the rain. What does this all mean? Well, you'd have to tune in and check out Hal Jordan Rebirth #2. But boy, was this a fun book to draw, and it was a fun book to be a part of. And when it came out at a convention, Geoff and I sat together and signed these by the bushel. And Geoff turned to me and he said, Ethan, you are going to be signing this comic book for the rest of your life. I think he's right. There has not been a convention that I've been to where I have not signed a stack of these for fans. They still remember it fondly, and so do I. I hope you enjoyed this commentary track for Green Lantern Rebirth #1. My name is Ethan Van Sciver. This is Comic Artist Pro Secrets. And I'll see you again soon for Green Lantern Rebirth #2 commentary. Bye-bye.